Now, really, we're getting into that post-publishing phase where we have kind of two main tactics here. Now, for link building, what we're going to talk about in this process is a more tactical, strategic approach. There is also a general approach to link building. We kind of think of it in two phases. Your general approach is just going to be kind of like PR efforts, maybe doing guest blogs, just getting links pointing to your website, trying to build your domain authority. And depending on how far along your brand is, you may need to focus on that general approach more than others. If you're an established company, if you've been around, you have some brand visibility, we find really good success with this more strategic and targeted approach. But depending on where your company is, you may need both. You may need to lean more one way or the other. But for this process, we're really looking at being really targeted with those backlinks. So we'll get into that a little bit more. And then ultimately, once we get to the first page, we want to shift to click-through rate testing. So really what we've seen, and I know a lot of people have seen data on this, is if we improve click-through rate, we usually see our rankings improve pretty quickly afterwards. So once we're on the first page, our content's optimized, that's really when we're going into and doing title tag and meta description testing. And again, ClickFlow has a great feature that'll kind of analyze your data for you, so you don't have to manually do this in spreadsheets like we used to do. So this will be kind of the next step into the process here. So for link building again, so the way we think about it is, again, why build links if you don't have to? Why spend the resources? Why spend the effort if you don't need to? What we mean by that is sometimes you'll publish content and you may get to the first page without driving a single link to that piece of content. So in that case, you really don't have to spend the effort there. We could shift our link building focus to other content that may need it more. So what we like to do is once we publish something and we give it about 4 to 6 weeks, we'll see how far we get. In this example here, you'll see this content was published kind of late May. And within about a month, we started getting to page 2. And then just a couple weeks after that, we started slowly climbing up to page 1. So this was one where we didn't have to drive a link to it. We were able to utilize the link budget we had for this client on other pages. So we always like to say, if you see this and you're actually tracking your data, see what the results look like. If you get stuck on page 2 or 3 and you're not seeing any movement, that's when we lean on backlinks to try to drive that up onto page 1. So again, we're trying to be really targeted with these, depending on your client's budget. I know link building can get expensive. It takes a lot of resources. So we want to make sure we're allocating those the best way. And this is one of the main reasons we don't necessarily just start blasting a piece of content with links as soon as it's published. We're really trying to make sure we're maximizing those resources. So main thing we look for there. So again, just recapping this one last time. So in this case, you'll see within about 2 to 3 weeks, we move to the first page. So we typically like to wait about 4 to 6 before driving a backlink there. So if this didn't progress, this would have been a page we would have drove a backlink to. But because we started climbing up onto the first page, we were able to just go straight to click-through rate testing and skip the link building step. So that's really our kind of thought process behind that. And one of the main reasons we utilize link building in that way. So again, there is a case for a general approach. If you have no backlinks, you're a brand new brand, you're going to need some general links pointing to your site. But once you've done that, that's really where you can start getting more strategic and tactical with the links you're driving.